All right, as usual, let's just work with the spine initially. So if we clasp, interlace the fingers, and we round the upper back, soft knees, chin to chest, and a little bit of a sway side to side, almost as though you're trying to look under one armpit and then across to the other, but really let the head dangle. That way we can get a little bit of a release down the upper back, the back of the neck. A couple of times each side. Nice. We can make this a little bit more active by hugging, so wrapping the arms around. Again, chin to chest. And we're using a little bit more force of the hands on the backs of the shoulders to gently guide a little bit more of a stretch in the back of the body. So the more we bend the knees, the more we fold forwards, the more we're going to release down the back, down to the lower spine. And then let's slowly roll on up through the spine, hands behind the back, rolling the shoulders back and down. Now broadening across the collarbone, and let's take semicircles with the head. You can lift the shoulders up to meet the head if that's a bit more supportive for the neck, but then just allowing the head to roll side to side. Gradually, as you get more confident, so you'll feel a bit more secure, the shoulders might drop. But let's keep wide across the collarbone. Jaw nice and soft. Lovely. We're going to come into a wide leg fold. So take the legs, the feet nice and wide, and we roll down. Let's hold the tops of the thighs down over the knees into that fold, and then reverse that movement. Really squeeze the legs on the way up. Feel the knees, feel the thighs all the way, rolling the shoulders back and down. And let's go again. A few more rounds. So each time we come down, we might fold a little bit deeper. So just feel how the hamstrings are today, if they're ready for a slightly deeper stretch. Lay your hands on the backs of the legs now as you fold and rise. One more time like this, and then we'll stay in the forward fold. So we roll down, and from here, let's place the hands across to the left ankle, bow the head, and pause here. If this is a little bit too deep, hold around the knee or even the thigh, but see if you can let the head dangle so we're not holding tension in the neck. With each successive breath, you might find you can twist a little bit more to the left. No forcing, using the hands to give the back of the leg a good squeeze, focusing a little bit of softening and lengthening there, and then let's place the hands across to the other side. You're towards the other ankle, again, top of the thigh is fine. Just holding wherever makes sense for you, letting the head dangle. No forcing, just allowing the breath to slowly add a little bit of a stretch, a nice level of stretch to the back of the leg. Again, with time, with each breath, you might swivel and turn and twist a little bit deeper. And then we'll place the hands back to the center, bend the knees, rolling up through the spine, and last to come up. At the top, let's roll the shoulders back and down. Right, to prepare for a little flow we'll do later, let's just think about the feet, toes pointing forwards. Now, right toes, lift the toes and turn the toes to face the right. Take a bend in the knee. Now, with this left hand, as if you've got a heavy plate on there, reach out with the palm facing upwards. We're leaning over this side and we're opening the chest. Palm to the back wall, or thumb to the back wall, and then come center. We'll take the same to the other side. So change the toes, right toes forwards, left toes to the left, take a bend in the knee, and then this offering arm, palm facing up. I'm using my elbow here to get a deeper inner thigh stretch. It's pushing that left knee back and opening wide across the chest. Let's do twice more each side. Toes to the front. Right toes out, bend and open. So both arms opening out wide. Nice soft jaw, a little bit of a neck stretch there. Take it to the other side. Shoulders down away from the ears. The head can roll to one side. That can give you a really nice neck release and stretch over the shoulder. Last time each side. Square up the feet and then open. So again, shoulders down. Be aware of this top shoulder blade gliding down as if you're slotting them in back pockets. Last time, over to the left. Shoulder down. Feel this right shoulder blade gliding down, chest open, palm up, and then come center. Let's toe and heel the feet in, and then give the legs a little bit of a shake. So for a stretch for the outer hip, let's first of all step the right foot in front of the left, and take the right arm up to the ceiling. You've gathered, I'm mirroring here now. With this left hand on the back, heel of the hand on the back of the thigh, the hip, and turn the hip forwards, and we're reaching up and over. So this hand, this left hand, is here to kind of keep the hips square to the front as we reach up and over. And you'll start to get a nice stretch down the outer hip. Breathing deeply, let's press both feet into the floor, squeeze the thighs together, the bottom cheeks together, and reach into these fingertips overhead. Breathe deeply. Feel that extra little bit of give when you're a little bit patient and you go into stretches that, a little bit more give. And then let's take it to the other side. So left foot in front, left arm to the ceiling. Let's use this right hand to swivel the hips back to the front and then stretching overhead. Squeeze the knees together, inner thighs, the glutes, and then stretching into the fingertips overhead. Nice deep breath. So we're squeezing the glutes, so we're not arching the back backwards. We're not got that sway back, bottom slightly tucked. Another breath here, and then we'll go on to the hamstrings. Targeted stretch for the hamstrings. So come on up. Right foot, place the heel of the foot on the floor, and then hands on the hips. We tilt the pelvis forwards and fold. We'll take that stretch to the back of the leg. So we'll pause here for 2 breaths. Very deep way of pulling both ends of those soft tissues and muscles. So going easy, only tilting the pelvis and folding as far as you get a nice level of stretch. And then take it to the other side. So soften the knee, take it immediately to the other side. Plant the heel of the foot, hands on the hips, tilt the pelvis forwards and fold. Nice deep breath. You can give the lower back a little bit of a rub if you've got any tightness there, or just focus on the back of the leg. Last of all will be the quad stretch. So you may want to find a wall or a chair to hold on to. Let's place the weight into your left foot and lift the right foot in towards the bottom. So here, you may be able to hold both hands around the ball of the foot and draw the ball of the foot up, knee towards the floor. Otherwise, feel free to hold the wall and just use one hand. So the idea is the knees reaching for the floor, bottom tucking so that we remove the crease at the top of the leg, a pelvic tilt, nice straight line length from the knee up into the crest of the hip. Knees quite close together. One more breath here, and then we take it to the other leg. Gently release, other side. So take hold, use the wall if you wish. Let's see if we can keep the upper body nice and long. So wide across the collarbone. Squeeze the glutes, tilt the pelvis. The crease goes from the top of the leg. The knees lengthening down towards the floor. Be mindful that we're not pulling on the patellar tendon. So if there's any pull on the knee, just change the angle or how we hold the leg. Maybe don't take it quite so far. One more breath on this side, and then we're moving on. All right. Okay, so let's see if we can work the brain a little bit here. So legs wide. We're not using arms initially. Let's just first of all find this movement in the legs. So toes start pointing forwards. Okay, right toes to the right, bend the knee. So warrior one, lower body. And then to the other side. Left toes to the left, take a bend. All right, we'll do that again, but we'll turn to face that bent knee. So we'll gaze. Chest is still to the front, but we turn to look over that front knee. And then come to the center, other side. So the knee bends and the gaze, so the nose is pointing in same direction. So knees, shoulders are down. Okay, easy enough. Let's add on. So warrior two, legs to the right. Now this back heel presses the ball of the foot so the heel lifts. And lower it down again. Do that again. Lift the heel and lower. Watch the next time we're going to dial the hip forward so we come into a high lunge over to the right. So we come onto the ball of the foot and we dial the hip down and we face the side wall. We're in a high lunge with the back heel lifted. We reverse that, the heel goes back to the floor. And we do the other side. So toes forwards, left toes to the left, take a bend. First we'll practice taking the weight out of the heel and lifting the heel and lowering down. Just do that again. So squeeze the glutes, lift through the heel and lower. So this time we'll keep the heel lifted and then we dial this hip all the way to the side wall. The back leg straight, front knee bent. How are we doing? Let's reverse that heel back to the floor and come center. So let's do that with arms. Arms up to the ceiling, shoulders back and down. So first of all, bending the right knee to the right. Then we take a warrior two. Now, take the weight out of the back heel, lift. And then let's dial the hip, the toes, the knees, all the way over to your right. We're in a high lunge. To come back to warrior two, we just lower the heel back behind us. Warrior two. And we come center, toes pointing to the center, forwards. Over to the other side, take a warrior two, peel the back heel off, face the side wall. Back to warrior two, and come center. So breathe in here, breathe out to warrior two. Breathe in to lift the heel, breathe out, and let's come into this high present stretch. Back to warrior two, shoulders back and down, come straight to the other side. Let the shoulders down into a high lunge. Take out the arms if it's too complicated. Heel down, arms overhead. So we're going to go beyond warrior two arms now. So we'll take warrior arms all the way to the side and then meet behind the body. And then coming center, arms overhead. Let's take that to the other side with a full sweep of the arms. Hands meet behind the body. And then come all the way over to the top. So a little addition, let's add that onto the high lunge. So we've got the warrior two, hands meet behind the body. And then coming up, we come to a high lunge. Feel that lovely stretch on the front of the hip. Back to warrior two. And center, are you with me? Warrior two, it's just moving continuously for 30 minutes, which will be great. Let the hands meet behind the back, so we open across the chest, and then come to your high lunge. Amazing, back to warrior two, legs, and to the center. One more each side, warrior two, let the hands meet. Warrior two to high lunge. Dial it back to warrior two. Arms meet overhead. So around about now that the arm starts to feel a little bit heavy, hands meet behind the back, chest wide open, to a high lunge, back to a warrior two, and float the arms down, tone heel the feet in, have a little shrug out to the left, the arms sway forwards and backwards, nice bend, soft bend in the knees. Amazing. We're going to take a sun salutation just for the sake of stretching. We won't add any bells on, just the classic Syrian Namaskar A. So if you come to the front of your space, feet hip distance apart, bottom tucked. I'm sorry, my head's disappeared there. All right, take a moment to feel that kind of mountain shape, strength of Tadasana, the crown of the head up to the ceiling. So it's almost like the back of the skull is back and lifted. Let's take a deep breath in and stretch the arms overhead. Really reach for the ceiling and then carving through the air, coming into a forward fold. Hands down the backs of the legs. Take a moment to release that, then you straighten the lower back. For a halfway lift, we can press the fingertips into the shins. Now feel where the base of the spine is on the crown of the head and pull and lengthen in 2 directions. Take your run a lunge, bend the knees, hands to the floor, step your right foot far back and pause here. So allowing the hips to settle a little bit deeper without forcing. We're coming into a plank, but as always, you can lower the knees. It doesn't need to be a high plank. The main thing is bottoms tucked, and think about your nose, your chest, and your belly away from the floor. So the shoulder blades spread a little bit here. Coming down to the knees, down to the belly, to the chest, and curl up. It's either a baby cobra or an up dog. Down dog, tuck the toes, send the hips up high and back, and pause here to pedal it through from one foot to the other. Then start with both heels towards the floor, and now concentrate on a long, long spine. So sometimes just swaying the hips side to side helps us get a little bit more length in the spine. We're going to be stepping the right foot forward. So bend the knees, look at your hands, step your right foot to the front. Again, soften the hips down. You keep the back leg as straight as it wants to. And we're coming to the front of the mat. Take your left foot forwards. Stand tall, arms open wide. Take a big stretch, hands meeting overhead. And breathe out to heart center. We do the same leading with the left leg. Breathe in and stretch overhead. Breathe out and fold. Halfway lift is something like a 90-degree angle between the chest and the thighs. Hands to the floor, step your left foot back into a lunge. Aiming for the back of the knee to stay lifted, but feel free to lower it down. A little bit of softening for the hips before we take it to a plank. Claw into 10 fingers and step your foot back. From a plank position, feel your shoulder blades down and slightly parting. Bottoms up, thighs engaged, and we can take a chaturanga or lower the knees to come down to the floor. Once your belly's on the floor, take a little spine extension, which will be Sphinx Cobra, up dog, your choice, and then take it to a down dog. So we're tucking the toes, sending the hips back and high, and again, pedal it through from one foot to the other. To enjoy the calf stretch as the heel gets closer to the floor. Be aware of the shoulder blades. So rather than them being squeezed together, feel a little bit of a separation between the shoulder blades and that power into your armpits as we engage your lats. We're stepping the left foot forward so we can lift the heels high and bend the knees. You can help or just step the left foot to the front and then again, come back to soft hips. We're stepping the right foot to the front, taking a big breath in to stretch overhead, reaching into the fingertips, lengthen, hands meet and return. Amazing. So we're just going to come onto all fours and take a slightly deconstructed cat cow. So it's all about being kind to the spine and also just having a heightened awareness of sensations along the spine. We can take one round of cat cow where we just look as we normally do it. And maybe you want to just have a go at that, breathing in, looking up, and breathing out into chest. The thing is, we get into such a pattern of moving in a particular way that then we stop tuning into the spine. So this time, rather than with the breath, let's have a go arching the spine, but pausing here until we spread the sensations along the spine. So if I were just to concentrate on sticking the bottom out, I'm really extending through the lower spine and not much going on in the upper back. However, if I slightly come out of that, so instead of such an excessive curve in the lower back, I back off a little bit. And now I think about lengthening my chest forwards and up. I'm getting more sensations along the mid to upper back. My arms are working harder and I'm lengthening. So just stay there a moment. The difference is if I'm creating a curve in the spine, it's like a very sharp curve. And the difference is we're trying to make that more shallow but lengthen. So think as you are finding this curve in the spine of lengthening. So maybe the crown of the head is reaching forwards and up, and the sit bones are reaching up and back. So just finding a spreading of sensations along the spine, and then we do the same in the arching cat. So instead of aggressively chin to chest and tucking the bottom under, let's see if we can take a moment to find some relief in the mid-back rather than just in the upper back. Try and spread the sensations down. So if it's excessive in one part, back off and see if you can tune in to the rest of the spine to find a rounding evenly through the spine. Well, the degrees of curve won't be even, but it's the sensation. So thinking about, again, lengthening and decompressing. So that may mean concentrating more on the kidney area and puffing up that part of the spine. Okay, with that in mind, that's a lot to think about. Let's just take one gentle round of cat cow, when maybe you're not going as deep into the cat cow, but maybe you're just being a little bit more mindful and you're tailoring it to your own body and how it feels today. So just another round. Always thinking length along the spine. And then we're going to come all the way down to the belly. Really well done. Arms are going to be either out in front of you, or in a wide V, or in goalposts. Forehead to the floor, tilt the pelvis so the bottom's tucked, and we're going to float the head and shoulders off the floor. So keep the elbows close to the floor, but the shoulders and the nose lift away from the floor, squeezing the glutes, and then we float back down. So as we move and we rise up and down, let's think about the shoulder blades staying down into deep pockets in the back of the body. If your arms are overhead, the palms are facing each other, thumbs up to the ceiling. And the same sense of length in the spine. So if you're finding that you're getting unhelpful sensations in the lower back, change and maybe think about lengthening up through the crown of the head, and also pressing the pubic bone into the floor. We can take a few more rounds here. It can be a very small movement, small lift, and a gentle, careful lowering down. We can stretch the legs and maybe the tops of the feet float off the floor, maybe even the knees. Last couple of rounds. Stretch like you're on a rack, forwards and backwards. Last time, and we'll meet in child pose. Big stretch, forwards and backwards, last time, and then hands under the shoulders and take it back to a child pose. Have a little rock on the spine. We haven't done the dead bug for a while, so let's use that as our core strengthener. Onto your back, hug the knees into the chest and rock on the spine. And then, from a tabletop position, if you're next happy with a curl up, we'll curl up here and take the arms up to the ceiling. Now, fingers reaching for the ceiling, and we're going to open opposite arm and leg into a V shape. So I'll take my right arm, left leg away from the center line, the starting point, and then I'll breathe out and find that slow control to come back. So opposite arm and leg extending, and then slowly with control returning. Now, really key here is to keep a neutral spine. So if you're arching the back and there's a big gap here as you extend your weight, we need to make the movement smaller. So keep going at your level. Maybe the knees need to come in a little closer, maybe the head's on the floor. So rather than thinking I need to straighten the leg, just distance yourself away from the center line. Find where that edge is, where it's starting to be difficult to keep the spine in contact with the floor, and then return. So just being aware of your edge, tickling that edge and coaxing it a little bit further without being aggressive and going too far. So the head, we can work perfectly well into the core with the head on the floor. But just if we had a curl up, we're using the six-pack muscles and more layers of the abdominals. If you've got the breath, we can breathe in to extend, and then we breathe out to return. Now, aim to go slower. The progression is just to slow this movement down and maybe extend further, but definitely not speeding up. Last couple of rounds. So the front ribs knitted together, navel back to the spine. Bottom is very much tucked here. So as if we're trying to plug the tummy bottom through the spine into the floor. Shoulders are down away from the ears. And we're lifting the top and bottom of the body away from the floor. So we're trying to just leave as little in contact with the floor as possible so that all the work is focused on those core muscles. Last set. Shoulders down, be fussy about that contact with the mat. No arching allowed in the back. So we want to maintain the safe curves in the spine, no matter what movement we take into the arms and legs. That's where we get that core strength. Hug the knees into the chest and have a little rock on the spine. Brilliant. We're coming up to a seated position for wipers, for the legs. So with the knees bent, let's have the hands behind, fingers pointing away so we can open across the chest. A nice gap between the feet, and let's sway the knees to one side and we twist the spine. And then over to the other side, bit of an inner thigh stretch here, and then take the twist the other way. So really lifting the hip, taking that twist into the spine. Once more each side. Ready for a seated twist. So we come center, left knee to the floor, left shin pointing forwards, the right foot on the outside of the knee. And then let's try and get both sit bones towards the floor. It doesn't matter if they don't both meet the floor. We're hugging the knee into the chest. We're rocking so that both sit bones get closer to the floor. Breathing deeply, knee towards the opposite armpit. And we add on a twist, looking over your right shoulder. Long spine, notice chin's tucked in towards the neck. The back of the skull is back and lifted. Nice deep breath in the nuts of the nose as you're very tight in the hip. Get your knuckles in there, give it a good rub. And then let's take it to the other side, switch legs, right shin down, left foot on the outside of the knee. See how close your sit bones can get to the floor on this side. Now lengthen up through the spine, hug the knee to the chest. Breathe deeply. And then think about nudging this knee towards the opposite armpit and adding on a spinal twist. Chin's tucked. Left hand behind for support. Rotating. Maybe looking over your shoulders. Shoulders down away from the ears. Any gentle rocking is all good. Well done. Release out, cross-legged position. Either foot in front, let's take a deep breath in, stretching overhead. Reaching, feel the ribs coming out away from the pelvis, lengthening up, and then right hand to the floor, reach up and over. Let the head dangle, so a little bit of a neck release here. All the way up to the ceiling. Other side, hand to the floor, drop the head, and then the arm overhead. Nice deep stretch. Release center, chase across in your feet. Take placing the hands forwards into a forward fold. Creep the hands forwards, but try to keep your sit bones on the floor. Breathing deeply, lengthening along the spine. And then last of all, come back up, shoulders back and down, hands behind, with the little fingers as close together as possible. Puff out the chest, and we'll go back to those semicircles with the head. Here the head can rest on the shoulders, nothing forced. Nice release here. Goodness me, it's already 30 minutes. So roll out the shoulders. Let me give the legs a little bit of a shake. And here we